The sun was unforgiving that day in central Texas, hot enough to bake the earth, dry enough to crack lips. Dust clung to every boot, every fence post, every breath. At the edge of the Johnson County livestock auction, ranchers gathered with checkbooks in hand, ready to make deals over cattle and horses. But James Whitmore wasn't there for anything out of the ordinary. He was a man of habit, a 54-year-old rancher with calloused hands and a heart that had grown quieter over the years. He had a spread of 200 acres, for horses, and enough cows to keep him busy. Widowed for nearly a decade, James wasn't one to seek out company. He liked the solitude. Or at least, he told himself he did. Until that day. While inspecting a pen of calves, his eyes drifted toward a strange sight, a woman, standing awkwardly at the edge of the auction yard, holding a small child. She looked impossibly out of place, barefoot, her dress dusty and worn. She was visibly pregnant, and the little girl clutching her skirt looked equally out of sorts. James had never seen them before, and in a small town like theirs, that meant something. He saw the way the other men glanced at her, some with pity, others with the kind of look that made his jaw tighten. She was speaking to someone, an old auctioneer known more for shady deals than livestock. James watched as she tried to smile, as if offering to work in exchange for help. He couldn't hear the words, but he could see the desperation. A minute later, she turned and walked away from the man, tears starting to fall. James stepped forward. "Ma'am. You okay?" She startled, gripping her daughter's hand tighter. "We're fine," she whispered, avoiding his eyes. "You don't look fine," James replied gently. She sighed, as though she didn't have the energy to pretend. "My name's Lena. My husband died 4 months ago. He was in construction, fell from a roof. I've been trying to find work, shelter. Anything. We slept in the car for 2 nights. But it gave out this morning. I didn't know where else to go." "And your little one?" he asked, glancing at the girl. "Her name's May. She hasn't eaten today." James said nothing for a moment. He just stared at them, heart heavy. Then he nodded toward his old Dodge pickup. "Come with me." The rumors started that night. James Whitmore done gone and bought himself a woman. He found her at the auction, pregnant, with a kid. You hear what he paid? Nothing but a look and a handshake. People love to talk, especially when they don't understand kindness. But James didn't care. He brought Lena and May back to his ranch, settled them into the guest house his wife once decorated with daffodils and lace, and told her she didn't know him a thing. "I'm not hiring you. I'm helping you. There's a difference." At first, Lena resisted. She cleaned obsessively, tried to cook every meal, made herself small. But over time, the edges of her fear softened. May began to laugh again. She'd sit on James's lap and make him read children's books with bad cowboy accents until they both laughed too hard to continue. Lena started helping with the garden. Then the bookkeeping. Slowly, she wove herself into the fabric of the ranch. But it was never about obligation, it was about belonging. Then came the storm. One August afternoon, with thunder boiling in the sky, Lena collapsed while folding laundry. James heard the thud from across the yard and ran in to find her doubled over, moaning in pain. "It's too early," she gasped, clutching her belly. James carried her into the truck and drove like hell to the nearest hospital. His hands shook as he called ahead on his flip phone. His mind raced, what if I'm too late? What if she loses the baby? Hours passed in a blur of sterile hallways and the smell of antiseptic. He paced. Prayed. Bargained with a God he hadn't spoken to in years. Finally, a nurse emerged with a smile. "She's okay. And the baby's breathing just fine. A little early, but strong. It's a boy." When James stepped into the room, Lena was pale but glowing. She held the swaddled newborn and looked up at him with tears in her eyes. I named him Jamie, she said softly. After you. James had no words. He sat beside her, overwhelmed. He wasn't the father. He hadn't married her. But in that moment, he knew this little boy, this family, was part of him now. Weeks passed. Then months. James helped feed Jamie in the middle of the night. He built a crib with his own hands. May learned to ride horses and chase fireflies through tall grass. One quiet afternoon, Lena brought him a sealed envelope. Her eyes were filled with wonder. It's from the government, she said. Turns out Tom, my late husband, qualified for military survivor benefits. They tracked us down after the hospital flagged my emergency file. Inside was a check that would change everything. Enough to buy a home, start over. James handed it back. It's yours. She shook her head. Maybe. But this place, you, gave me something that check never could. What's that? A reason to hope again. The following spring, James built a swing for the kids under the oak tree near the barn. One morning, as he poured himself coffee, May ran in with muddy feet and a big grin. Daddy, come see. Jamie's walking. He froze. Daddy. She had never called him that before. He stepped out onto the porch and saw the toddler taking slow, clumsy steps toward Lena, who smiled through tears. James walked over, knelt in the grass, and opened his arms. Come on, little man. Jamie took 3 more wobbly steps and tumbled into his arms. Laughter. Tears. A family. Kindness doesn't always come with flowers or fanfare. Sometimes it shows up quietly, at a cattle auction. In a weathered pickup. With no strings attached. James never set out to change anyone's life. He just offered a woman and her children something the world had taken from them. Dignity. Safety. A place to belong. And in return, he found what his heart had long been missing. Love. Because what James gave them wasn't just shelter. It was something beyond price. It was home.